Hey guys, welcome back to Salem, Cellar, and Happy New Year. We are officially in 2024. So 2023 was a ridiculous year for movies, especially the horror and sci-fi genre. A lot of movies I really loved and a few I didn't like so much. So today we're going to be discussing some of my favorite horror and sci-fi films from this past year. I'll be right back. So probably my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies, like top 3 of the year, is Evil Dead Rise. Now, this was starring Alyssa Sutherland and Lily Sullivan. Both these ladies killed their roles, like no pun intended. They were just so phenomenal in this movie. Now, as an Evil Dead fan, I really love the original Evil Dead movies. I wasn't too thrilled with the remake. I didn't really like it. I don't really get the love for it either. It was just kind of like, it fell flat for me. It just did nothing. I went into this movie with not really so high expectations just because the other film kind of let me down. But boy, this was a horror film. It kicked my butt. I saw it in the theater opening weekend and it really mentally kicked my butt. The gore was insane. It gets right into the action. Now, I remember when I reviewed this film originally, I was not a fan of the opening scene. I just want to take that back completely because I rewatched this movie. Probably I watch it weekly because I just love it so much and I have a problem. I put it on to go to bed sometimes too. But the opening scene, I do like it. Okay, it definitely grew on me. The action starts right away. It is brutal. When she's reading, like the cousin's sitting in the chair and she's reading the book, and the other cousin like sits up and starts like reciting the exact words she's reading. In that voice, it was just there was something so dark and so like, it makes like you're kind of like the hairs on your arm like stand up. You're just like terrified at that moment. The scalping, when she's floating above water, there's just something so amazing about that scene. So I completely take back that I didn't like it. The first time I watched it, I didn't like it so much. It didn't really have that Evil Dead feel to me. But after watching a few times, I loved it. It was a great scene. The movie was great. Just for it to take place not in a cabin, not in the woods, a completely different, like more urban, area with a family inside of an apartment building was just such a great idea, and it was done so well. I think a big thing about this movie that really gets to me is because like the main character, the main one who gets turned like right away, is a mom, and these are all her kids, and this is like her baby sister who's pregnant. So it's like a lot of sensitive topics going on in this film, but it's just, they don't care. They're like, I'm gonna kill all these kids and I'm gonna make you guys watch it. It did something to me watching this film. It was just phenomenal, and I love it. I hope there's more, and I hope it's just like this one. So yeah, it is one of my favorite movies from 2023. Top 3, absolutely top 3. If you haven't seen this movie, definitely check it out. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, I'm pretty sure it's streaming on Max. I own it, that's where I watch it, but I'm pretty sure I've seen it, like the poster on Max, HBO Max, so definitely check it out. Another favorite of mine was Knock at the Cabin, starring Dave Bautista. Now, this is an M. Night Shyamalan film. It is a horror/mystery. This movie was good. I really, really enjoyed this film. I went into it with a high expectations though, because I'm really a fan of M. Night Shyamalan, and I love Bautista. I'm a big Guardians girl. I just love him as an actor too. He has like this monotone humor about him in the Guardians and just like other films he's in. Just there's something about him. So when I first watched it, it was just, you see the little girl. I can't remember her name, but she's a very cute little girl. And then she's approached by Dave Bautista's character, and you just don't know, is he batshit crazy? Is he just telling the truth about everything he's saying? You just don't know. It's a real mystery, this film, because the entire time I'm trying to like figure out, are these people scammers? Are they the real deal? What is going on? Are they just targeting this couple because they're a gay couple? It was just so many things happening throughout this film, but it's fast. It gets into it right away. but it tells a story throughout. Like, it tells kind of like what happened prior throughout this film. So you're not really sitting there guessing like, okay, it started really quick, so I don't really care about these characters, no character development. It develops the characters throughout the film. So when somebody is no longer in this film, if they are no longer alive, you're sad about it. And the ending was intense. It was definitely a great ending. I'm a big fan of like apocalyptic type of films. Just like things like that in general, like TV shows, they just intrigue me. And there was just something about this movie that I really loved it. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed. I think it was one of his best films, one of M. Night Shyamalan's best films, besides the obvious Sixth Sense and stuff like this. But this was just like one of my favorite of all his movies that he's done. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you watch this one. Another one I really loved that I watched later this year, I watched it at home, was The Last Voyage of the Dementor, starring Corey Hawkins as Clemens. Now, I wanted to see this in theaters, and I couldn't go opening weekends, and I just remember hearing everybody saying how boring it was, that it was boring, that they didn't like it, just complaining nonstop about this film. And I'm like, okay, maybe I could wait. It's just like I don't really have too much time to go to the theater or like watch new movies. So I have to like pick my movies very carefully. And so I put it on the back burner. One weekend I was bored. I'm like, let me just check this out. I'm so mad I listened to people. I'm so mad I just didn't go and watch it for myself. And I took other people's advice or just like what they thought of it. I need to stop doing that. I usually don't. I usually go into it with like an open mind. But this one, I was like, it could go either way. I loved it. There was just something about this vampire Dracula. He just had a very old school vampire look. There was something so creepy and dark about him. He almost reminded me of Nosferatu. He looks like Nosferatu, in my opinion. I just loved the story. I loved Clemens, the actor who portrayed him, who's also from The Walking Dead and other films. He has a very familiar face. He did a phenomenal job. I really loved how they ended the film, and I want more, but I don't know if it really did well, this movie, so I don't know if we're going to be getting more. I hope so, but don't listen to other people. Well, listen to me, but don't listen to other people that have said it's boring. It has a good pace. There's good kills. It's like very shocking scenes. It just has just an overall like good vampire Dracula dark type of old school vibe. I loved it. I plan on hopefully owning this movie soon. It was just from start to finish, I absolutely loved it. So I know this film is available to rent or purchase, but I don't think it's streaming anywhere free yet, but I think it's worth the rental or the purchase, honestly. Another favorite of mine from this year was Talk to Me. Now, it was released in the United States in 2023. I think it was originally released in 2022, but not here. I could be wrong. But there was just something about this film. It was rated R. It was gory. It was bloody, and it was brutal. Like from start to finish. That opening scene was like, oh, okay, I'm up. I'm awake. I'm paying attention. I loved the story behind it. I loved the characters. It was just some messed up stuff goes on. It is very brutal. It was very bloody. I did not expect it to be what it was, and I loved it. It was probably, again, one of my top 3 of the year because it was just that good. It was really well done. It was an A24 film. If you have not seen it, definitely see this movie. If you don't like gore, though, if you don't like gore and bloodiness and things like that, you are not gonna probably enjoy this film. So you remember the desk scene? That scene was ridiculous. Like literally, like my skin was like, oh my God, it was crawling during it. It was very violent, very brutal. And it's just like a week or 2 after seeing that movie, it's hard to get that out of your head. Eventually, like it left. But it is definitely a film to watch if you haven't seen it yet. I don't think this movie is available anywhere free streaming, but you can purchase it, you can rent it. Another favorite of mine from this year was Transformers Rise of the Beast. Now, this is starring Anthony Ramos. He did a great job in it. I loved his character. This film had a very 90s feel. I think it actually takes place in the 90s. But as a person that's a big fan of Transformers and a big fan of like 90s films, I really enjoyed this movie. I loved this. The soundtrack was ridiculous, like gets you back into the 90s, out of like the gross times we live in now. And it was just so much fun. I loved it. I heard like a lot of negative talk about it. A lot of people weren't, you know, all into it like I was, but there was just something about this movie that I just thought was it was great. I had so much fun and I can't wait for more. And I loved how it ended. If you remember the ending, I don't know if it was the credit. I think it was one of the credit scenes, but it was just like, it was good. It got me pumped for some more movies. Another favorite of mine is like, I have a bunch of favorites, so I'm going to try to cut my list down a little bit. But another one was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, I love Marvel, I love DC, I love superheroes, I love Spider-Man. I really loved this one. I loved the first one, but there's something about this one I really liked. You get a little bit more of like Gwen's story and a lot of action. Miles is growing up. It's just visually beautiful. Miles' story is great. I just want to know where the next one's coming out and where it's going to go with it all. I'm ready for everybody to come back together, that little group from the first film, and just like, not, I guess, defeat the other spider people, but just kind of give them a fight. You know, like, you guys are not the only ones. You guys are not calling the shots. And I really want to know how it's going to end with Miles's like family, with his father. Is his father going to die? Like, what's going to happen? I need more. Other two films that I really loved, not the top of my list, but I'm happy we had them this year, is Saw X. I was really happy to have another Saw film. It was not like my favorite out of the entire franchise, but I did enjoy this movie, and Scream 6. It was in New York, which was fun. I loved the opening scene. There was a cool little twist. Like, you never saw, Ghostface unmasking himself or herself right away. So that was odd. I'm like, where are they going to go with this story? Samara Weaving, I think they could have just kept, I knew they were trying to do like a Drew Barrymore opening, like having her be the death scene, and I called it right away. But she's just so great. I wish she would have been part of this story even more. And now with like everybody backing out of the next movie, it's like, where are they going to go? I have so many ideas. I literally could probably talk for like an hour of where I think they should go, what I think they should do. Maybe we'll do another video about that. But I did really enjoy this movie. There was a couple of things that just pissed me off though, with like the twins. How many times are you guys gonna get? Okay, I love the twins. Don't get me wrong. I love them. You know, they're just like, you know, Mindy is. I feel like she's like me. I love Chad. I'm kind of probably biased because they're biracial. I'm biracial. I just love them. So it's like, I don't want them to die. I want them to stay in these films. But come on. Come on. Are you Michael Myers? How many times are you going to get stabbed and you're going to survive it? How many times? How many times are we going to let this pass? I'm kind of over that. I think that was just really unrealistic. Like, people just need to die in these movies. They need to die. They can't just keep on coming back. And for people talking about Stu coming back, stop. Stu is dead. If he comes back, I'm done. I'm done with this franchise. I love Stu. I love him. Don't get me wrong, but he's dead. Let's let him stay dead. That's just my opinion. That's my take on it. But yes, it was one of my favorites from this past year. So I hope you guys really enjoyed my list. I loved talking to you guys about it. Comment down below. Let me know what your favorite of the entire year was. I hope you have an amazing 2024. I hope it's so much better than next year, than last year. You guys deserve it. And thank you so much for your support on my channel. I know you guys sit here and watch me babble and ramble on all the time, and I do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'll be right back.